Aftershow. Magnets are difficult things to understand. In fact, if we're absolutely honest with ourselves, we don't understand.
Rumors, I'm assuming.
So you're gonna have to fill me in because I saw this. I'm like, what is it coming back?
Oh yeah, like sexy. They're bringing MagSafe back. That's what's happening. Mike Rose is here with us, everybody. Mike Rose, he of the Aftershow, online at aftershowpodcast.com. If you want to follow them on Twitter, it is at _Aftershow. And if you want to follow Mike on Twitter, it is Mike T. Rose, at Mike T. Rose. So yeah. Okay, so this was a story I did, I want to say Thursday or Friday of last week, because I want to say that we've been hearing rumors that MagSafe might come back, but I can never discern whether there are rumors that MagSafe is actually coming back, or it's just people really wishing that MagSafe would come back. Last week, for the first time in 5 years, Apple updated the MagSafe information page on its website.
What?
Now, you got to ask yourself why they would do that, because it has been there as a relic, and the changes they made, according to whatever article I had read, and I apologize, I can't remember off the top of my head, was they removed references to the antiquated barrel connector, according to whatever I had read, and they also replaced some of the crappy pictures with some better pictures. And obviously, the question that's coming to everybody's mind, and this is how I said it on macOS Ken, why bother changing that story unless MagSafe is something that people are going to have to start caring about again?
Have to start caring about, or have the option to start caring
about?
Well,
we don't know. Ahead, right?
Well, we don't know whether future laptops would offer the option of USB-C charging in addition to a dedicated MagSafe port. I think a dedicated MagSafe port is, like, if there's the real estate, great.
Which I think there's going to be the real estate, because Johnny Ive isn't designing them all anymore, so they might be able to gain a tiny bit of weight.
Whew.
Well, no, seriously. I mean no disrespect. I mean, the man makes some incredible stuff. Somewhere along the way, it felt to a bunch of people, myself included, like maybe we had started to sacrifice function over form. And I'm not saying every time. I love this 14-inch, 15-inch, what do I have here? 15-inch 2018 MacBook Pro that I have in front of me, now that I've gotten the keyboard fixed, is just an amazing machine. And part of me is like, yeah, later this year I'm going to get an M1. I know I said that a couple of weeks ago on this show, but the more I think about it, no, I'm not, because this machine is fantastic. It's a workhorse. It does exactly what I need it to do. At some point, Apple is going to start developing stuff for Mac OS that's only going to work with the M1. And at that point, I might go ahead and move on. Or I might go ahead and just, plunk along with this until it, throws up a skull and crossbones on the screen and says, I can't. Anyway, I'm sorry. You were saying maybe they do both of those things.
Well, I think if you look at the current, let's say the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1, you've got what's the USB? It's two on each side for that machine, right? Or is it just the two ports?
I honestly don't know. I believe it's two on each side for the M1, but don't quote me on that.
I'm going to double check because I think this is important. No, it's not, because this is the M1, not the M1X or the M2. So we're the I/O is constrained to a maximum of 2 Thunderbolt ports. Okay. So all 3 of the initially introduced M1 machines had just the 2 ports: the Mac Mini, the Air, and the Pro. The iMac, I believe, I'm looking again at the tech specs here. The iMac has more ports, but it is it has 2 USB 3 and then 2 Thunderbolt. Depending on which model you get, you can get just with the 2 Thunderbolt, or you can get 4 ports, but 2 of them are USB 3. So my point is, at the moment, all of these laptops have room on the other side. And of course, the iMac, we don't care. They have room on the other side of the machine for a power port. We're not giving up anything. They may, as you point out, get a little bit heavier. What I have liked about USB-C charging is that I have a wide variety of USB-C power bricks. like stuff that is like I have a great multi-port one for traveling, and I have a inline one that I can plug into the wall, and I have a NecTech one that's fantastic. It has 5 regular USB ports and 1 USB-C, and it's great. And like as long as I don't mistakenly plug something into a 30-watt port that needs to go in a 100-watt or a 60-watt port, I'm fine. I do think there is this weird thing about which side you charge the 13-inch Intel MacBook Pro on. Like if you charge it on the right side, it's faster. The machine is faster than if you charge it on the left side because of a thermal issue. But all that said, I would love to see MagSafe come back as the in-the-box option or the in-the-box power supply for these machines. But I think if you take away the ability to charge on USB-C, that is going to bite us. So I think it should be an and not an or. Okay,
so here's what I found myself wondering. And I'm thinking the answer is no. But is there a way to make USB-C MagSafe?
There people do it. There's a company that has like a little push-in adapter that allow. I mean, well, first of all, I have sitting behind me an external adapter that takes MagSafe and turns it into USB-C.
Okay.
Which works fine. It gets quite warm. But there's also a company that just makes a little inline adapter that lets you have a snap off or a magnet off USB-C. So you're thinking maybe the future MagSafe will be USB-C on one side and magnetic on the other?
Well, that's what I personally would love to see. I mean, obviously the only reason people care about MagSafe is because they've nearly taken their computer, or they have taken their computer off a counter or off a table sometime when they're just walking from one part of the room to the other.
Yes.
The beauty of MagSafe was it just, snaps right off. And so you never have to worry about that. And now you do.
Yeah.
The problems that I have with USB-C are not myriad, but I have a couple. Like I told people on this show a couple of weeks ago, I'm playing with an Arduino now. Well, it turns out there's only one port. Well, there's one port that I can't plug the Arduino into, and I assume it's because it's overpowered. And the thing is, there's nothing anywhere that says, first of all, which is the overpowered, unless it's like in the text and specs or something like that. There's only one port on my Mac that I can plug my USB-C Yeti microphone into.
Yeah.
The rest of them, it's a little bit underpowered. It sounds too low to me. It'll still record, but I can't get the volume back to my headphones that I want to with that. The problems with USB-C, it seems to me, are not knowing. Like, it turns out there are some that you should use for things and some that you shouldn't use for things. And if this is going to be a consumer-grade machine, that shouldn't be the case. There ought to be some way that you can know, and I don't want the thing to be junked up, but there ought to be a way by looking at it that you would know which one you would want to use for which thing.
Yeah.
That aside, I can't see taking away the functionality. Well, I say I can't see taking away the functionality, but Apple does that. If there's something else that they want to add instead, they took away the function keys, so they give us the touch bar. Now, apparently they're going to take away the touch bar so they can give us back the function keys, is another rumor that you keep hearing. Right?
Yes.
So, if you get used to something, don't get used to it, because if there is any number of people who don't like it, there's a chance that the thing's going to go away.
Yeah.
So, that said, it's hard for me to imagine them taking any of the USB-C off of this. I've got 4 on this 15-inch MacBook Pro. And yet, I could see them doing that because more people have complained about it, more people have lost it, and how many people actually plug, 4 things in at one time anyway. And of course, the 5 people who do are going to write to me and say, well, I do, and it's not fair. And you're right, it's not. But, it's not fair. People are going to lose the touch bar. It's not fair that people lost the function keys back in the day. It's still not fair that I don't have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on my iPhone. So there. Nobody's talking about bringing that back, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, injustice is everywhere. Well, nobody's talking about bringing that back, especially now that every Olympic skateboarder is wearing a pair of AirPods.
Are they?
Oh yeah. Well,
I haven't been watching. No.
Go back and watch a little bit of the skateboarding. Literally, every skateboarder has a pair of AirPods in, and as far as I know, Apple is not a sponsor of the Olympic skateboarding competition, but you can't buy that kind of brand awareness. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So the idea of a power cord that is only a power cord does not do other things, does not connect to your devices or get confused about its identity, whether it's a Thunderbolt port or a USB 3 port or USB 4 port, which is the same thing as Thunderbolt. Just power, like it's just jack, and he's magnetic. You're gaining clarity, I think, to your point, where you don't have to think about where am I going to plug this thing in and is it going to work the way I expect it to. This is a unitasker and it's taking up side real estate. But I think if in fact this is what we end up with, whether it's I think only if we have some sort of version of the legacy MagSafe 2, where everybody's got a charger kicking around, that got a perfectly usable, powerful charger kicking around that they would love to use with their new laptops. And if it's the exact same connector, great. If it's a magnetic version, like a breakaway version of USB-C, I'm not sure it addresses the port confusion issue at all. It would certainly be cool.
Yeah.
But it's not,
I mean, we live with the port confusion anyway, though. So if I could at least have that breakaway part back, I'd be okay. I mean, because I already have the port confusion, but I also have the added bonus of maybe I'm gonna, kick it off the counter, right? And so if you're gonna leave me confused with this, at the very least, you can make it so that I'm not gonna accidentally, drop it 3 feet when I just get up for a coffee.
Yes, that would be nice.